everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make your own planner using Keynote. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you thought it was helpful. I'm hoping to make many more videos like these that are helpful to you so that you can make beautiful planners just like this. I'm going to break this process down into 20 easy to follow steps. So if you're lost, just go back and repeat it again. Let's get started. So the first step is to create a brand new presentation. I like to use the basic white, and one quick tip is to press down and drag using your Apple Pencil and delete all the items in it because we're not going to be needing all that stuff. And that's a really simple way to select. So what we're going to do next is go into the master slide. Now the master slide is what I like to use if I'm going to be repeating many pages. So in this area, in the master slide section, you're going to see a lot of slides on your left-hand side. Now we're only going to be using 2 slides. At the very bottom there is a blank one, which I'm going to just drag all the way up because those are the 2 that I'm going to be using for this planner. Now, what we want to do next is rename them. So the first one is going to be the cover page, and the other one are going to be the rest of the pages of the planner. And as we go into the video, you'll see that I add another page, which is going to be for the index, which we're going to need as well. So now we have our 2 blank pages, and we are ready to start this planner process. So now I go back to the presentation section, and what I'm going to do now is add a page. To add a page, you're just going to click the plus sign at the top right, and that is going to help you to create a shape. Now you can either do a square, you can do a rounded square, you can do a triangle if you want triangle shapes, but for this video, we're going to be doing the rounded actually. I actually changed to that because that's my favorite style, so that's what I'm going to do. Another tool that you're going to be using a lot is that little paintbrush right next to the plus sign. Now you have to make sure that you have already selected the shape that you created and then click the paintbrush. Once you do that, you'll be able to edit the style, the text, and you'll be able to arrange each shape in the way that you want it, whether you want it in the front or more towards the back. In the style selection, if you click on color, you can slide and click on the eyedropper tool. Now you're able to pick up color from anywhere in the slide, anywhere in the presentation, anywhere at all. Now that I have the shape that I'm really in love with, I'm going to copy and paste it to make sure they are the same exact size. And now I'm just going to make sure that they're placed really straight, and going to select all of it, group them together. Now it's going to be so much easier for me to place them on other slides. Next, what we're going to do is click on the plus sign at the bottom and create another slide. Now we're going to cut and paste this page that we created and paste it onto this blank page. This is going to be our index. The first page is going to remain as our cover. So what I decided to do was actually to create a longer page with a seam in the middle. Now this is your preference. Some people like seams in the middle, some people don't like any seams at all, and some people like to have rings. In this, I'm going to be adding a seam. Oh my goodness, we're already at step 5. Alright, so as you can see, all you gotta do is press the plus sign and add that diagonal looking line, and you place it directly in the center of your page. And now we're just playing around with the color, the shadowing to make sure it looks absolutely perfect. Now something that I like to do is also add one of those squares and lighten up the opacity, however you say it. And I like to layer it right on top of that line so that it looks more like a book. Now you press that little play button and kind of test it out. See if you like it, see if you don't like it, and just kind of pinch inwards and it brings you back to the presentation screen. Now that I have everything just the way I like it, I'm going to select the entire screen, then tap on the screen and press group. Now that everything is grouped together, we're gonna cut and paste it into the master slide. Now into this master pages slide, we're gonna paste it in here because This is basically going to be repeated over and over again, and we don't have to copy and paste it. All we gotta do is add the page and it'll be there automatically. Next step is adding background. Yes, my favorite part, making the planner look complete. We're going to add our background. Now this is a background I created in Procreate, but you can use any background you like. There are free images all over the internet, but make sure that you're only using it for personal use. If you do grab it from Google, if you do grab it from Pinterest, make sure that you follow the instructions and you're using it only for personal use. Now I'm adding my background to both of the pages. I kind of made a mistake and realized it later that I added it only to one page, but make sure that you add it to both of your master slides so that you do not have to repeat it over and over again, and it makes things so much simpler. Every time you add the page, the background is already ready to go. Alright, so now we're going to add pages. Now as you can see, we are making it look more like a book. Yes, we are on step 7. I copied that cover page that I had, and now I'm just going to change the shadowing and change the color so that it really looks like pages. Do not get confused in this section. I realized my mistake and I'm just now adding the background to the other pages. So that's why I'm like going back and forth, because I forgot to add the background. So I did that, and now I'm changing the page color to white. I'm also adding shadow to make sure the pages really pop. So now you just see me fidgeting with the side a little bit. I'm just wanting to really make those pages pop, to really make it feel like a book. Some people like the realistic look of a book when they're doing digital planning, and some people don't. So this is all according to your preference, but I'm just gonna show you what I do when I'm making my notebooks. Alright, so now I'm stretching that page all the way across and making sure it's centered up, down, all around, and you can see that cross right there, which really helps you to align your page correctly. So once again, I'm cutting and pasting into the master slide. That way, when I do duplicate this later on, the pages are ready to go and I don't have to keep redoing things over and over again. So I'm just gonna give you a really good close-up look by pressing that play button, and it looks fabulous already. But I'm still going to add another page. So just copy that page, add it on top. We're gonna click on that little paintbrush at the very top and click on Arrange. When you click on Arrange, it'll allow you to take the selected page or the selected shape and push it more towards the back or towards the front when you move that little dial. So now you can see that little seam that I made pops up in the front once again, and that's exactly the look that we want. Now our template for the pages is ready to go. Now I'm just gonna show you a little close-up of the pages so you really see what I'm talking about, how we pinched it inwards. That's what it's looking like, and it's looking beautiful. Congratulations! We made it to step 8 out of 20, but we're making it, we're getting there. Now we're going to complete the cover and really make it look and feel like a book that you're about to open. So what I like to do is add a line. As you can see, I'm gonna lighten it up a bit. You can make it thicker, you can make it slimmer, just by going to that paintbrush, as I said before, and playing around with the style settings. You can add shadow, you can do so many different things. You can lighten the opacity. Why do I have such an issue with that word? But you can do as many things as you'd like. The next thing that I'm going to do is add the pages just the same way that we did for the other open book pages. The same thing I'm going to do, but this time we're going to add the pages at the back of the cover, if that makes sense. So all you have to do is copy that first page, make it white, and send it to the back using the Arrange section. And send it to the back, girl. Send it to the back. We don't need to see all of that. We just need that little edge so that we can see that it looks like a page, like a book. I like to add a couple of pages. Sometimes I add 2, 3, 4, 5. And I also do this step on the presentation slide since it's the only page. I don't mind to do it on the presentation part of Keynote rather than the master slide. Like I said, since it's only one page, I'm only gonna come to it one time, I don't mind to do it on the presentation section. But basically the rest of the pages will be done in the master slide, as you'll see continuing on in the video. Just want to warn you guys, working with Keynote can be absolutely frustrating, even for somebody who knows how to use it and is like a pro. Like sometimes I try to zoom in and like goes to the side and I'm like, can you please stay in the middle? And it just won't, because it doesn't like to listen to people. But I work as hard as I can to make the presentations look good. But let me tell you, it's not going to be easy to learn, but you can do this. You got this, all right? Finally, the book is looking good, and I'm going to add some text at the front for the cover. I'm just gonna put my notebook, or you can put whatever you like in this section, but I'm just gonna put what I want. You could even leave it blank, and then later when you export it into GoodNotes or whatever, you can do what you want. Now we're gonna go into that text section. We're gonna look for the exact font that we want, and we're going to name it caption. So when you click on that part that says paragraph style, you can click on caption. There are plenty of styles such as title, subtitle, agenda, quote, whatever it is that you want to use that for, you can select that paragraph style or that style that you created. And every single time you click on that style when you're doing your text, when you add text, it'll always show up with the same font, the same size, whatever you chose. So you don't have to go and tap for the size again. You don't have to go and find the font again. Everything is already saved. So as you can see, I've added a little white box in the background, and I'm just playing around with the shadowing to see what kind of look I want for the cover. You can play around with this as much as you'd like and customize it to the way that you prefer. Woohoo! Step 9, the fun part. Let's add some tabs. So also, depending on your preference, you can add squares for your tabs, or you can add the rounded edge square for your tabs. It all depends on your preference once again. Now I like to use the rounded edges. I like that look, but if you like more squared off look, you can choose that as well. So what I do is I make a small little square and I add shadow. And what I'm gonna do is just copy it over and over again. Once again, I'm still on the presentation slide. It's a lot easier to work with this setting, being that all the other layers of pages are not going to move around and switch around on you. So it's better to use it on this side. And when everything is all completed and done, you can just cut and paste it into the master slide section. All right, here's another quick tip. Once you select every single tab that you like, you can group them and resize them all together at the same time. So this is a really great tip if you want to size something. You don't have to do it one by one. You can select the entire thing, group it, and when you move around those side little blue circles, it will size it exactly the way they are, all the same. So that's a really nice tip, so you don't have to size everything side by side and then one is small, one is big. It looks terrible that way, but this way everything is sized the same perfectly. So I'm just showing you a little example of what it would look like if you had bigger tabs. But since we're making a planner, I'm actually deciding to make smaller tabs, and I'm going to be placing these tabs at the side. You can also, of course, place them at the top of your planner, at the bottom of your planner. Like I said, all these things are your preference. So right now I'm creating groups of 3. I copy that group, paste it, go to the arrange tool, send it to the back, and then I group the 6 tabs. Then I'm going to copy that 6 tabs that I just grouped, paste it, send it to the back using the arrange tool, and now we have 12 tabs ready for the 12 months of the year. Now I group those last 2 groups together and send it to the back. That is so complicated. Honestly, I'm hearing myself and it sounds really complicated, but if you watch the video and just look carefully, you can see what I'm talking about. Now I go back to the master slide section and I'm in the pages slide that we created. I cut and paste those tabs that we created in the presentation section and send them all to the back. Now we can see that they are appearing behind all the pages. Now, like I said before, you can make them appear in the middle, you can make them appear on top. Everything is according to your preference. It's time for another quick tip. So now we're going to be adding the text for each tab. I'm simply going to be adding the first 3 letters of each month. So for January, it's JAN, and I'm going to select my paragraph style. And once I'm happy with all my settings, we're going to rotate the text. Now this can be challenging, but what I do is I hold down the text box with one finger, and with my other finger, I move and drag my finger along until I get it to the way that I want it to be. So you're having to hold it down with one finger and the other finger is moving in a circular direction. That way you get it to the placement that you want. And you'll see the clicking when it gets to like 90 degrees or like 180 degrees. It'll just click and stop you. So once you see that, you just stop and your wording is in that perfect position. The next thing I'm gonna have to do is turn on my Jellycomb keyboard, because now that I have the text in the direction I want, I make it smaller and I'm going to add it right on top of the tab. So I use the arrows in my keyboard to make sure that it's perfectly centered. So Keynote does have a little bit of an issue to move things around, especially when it gets smaller, but using the arrow keys on your keyboard helps it a lot so that it centers it perfectly. Sometimes do have to eyeball things to make sure they're perfect, but once you see that you like it, all you gotta do is copy it, paste it, and everything else will align to the first word that you created. So you probably will not have to use the keyboard as much anymore. So I copy the first text, paste it, and all the font that I created in the beginning is the same font that it uses. So it makes it super easy and simple to add the rest of the months. If something is not aligned correctly, then I'll just use the keyboard arrows to make sure that it is perfect. So you'll see that I'm doing this for all the months in this planner. Ooh, that was super quick. Just kidding, it takes absolutely forever to do that. But once you do it, you will be so incredibly happy. So now I group everything together and I'm just going to paste into the master slide. Now on each page that I add, it will be there. To copy the same exact slide over and over again, all you gotta do is click on that slide, press copy, and then paste. To select multiple slides, use one finger to click on one slide and the other finger selects the rest. You copy, paste, and boom, 12 months ready to go. Step 10, we're halfway there. Let's make invisible links. First, what you wanna do is go into the shape section, create a square, then you select the square, go to style, and click no fill. I'm now going to place it onto January, and I'm gonna just leave it there for a second before I add the link. I'm going to copy and create a 13th slide. So things were a little bit jumbled up. I jumped here and there. So basically I had to add the index. I copied it from the cover page, the same font, so that way everything is the same. Now let's get into the invisible links. So we're going to click that little blue arrow and link to slide. As you can see, we're doing the first one to page 3 because page 3 is now going to be our January monthly page. So now we're just going to copy that, paste it, and now that one is going to be the February page, which is going to be linked to page 4 or slide 4. And now you just continue it, make sure that your links are correct, make sure that you are going slowly, and do not rush this process because you can easily put 2 pages to the same slide. That has happened to me lots of times. So take it easy and you'll get it. When making your planner, there is a lot of repetition. You have to do the months 12 times. You have to put the dates 12 times. You have to put the squares 12 times. Everything is 12 times. So what I'm doing is trying to make things simpler by making sure everything is perfectly correct, checking it, and then copying it to the master slide. So as you can see, I copied it and I'm going to paste it to the master slide. Do not group or lock these links, because if you do that, it will mess them up and you won't be able to use them correctly. So using links is a little bit different from using just a regular shape. So as you can see here, I'm clicking on them and they're working. Now to make sure that it's being linked to the correct page, we're going to copy the index font and add our month tiles. Title. Why did I say tiles? Why did I say tiles? So for each month, we're copying and pasting that same title and we're going to add it to the next page. What's really awesome about this as well is that when you paste it, it pastes it directly the same as the first page. So that's not gonna be a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, a little bit up, a little bit down. Everything is gonna be perfectly aligned just like the page before because you copied it with that setting. So this is an awesome tip so that when you're copying and pasting, everything is directly in the same line. As you can see, our links are working and I'm excited. We're moving to step 12. Yes, we are creating our monthly calendar. Yes, we've made it. Now this is a little bit difficult to do because you have to do a lot of deciding of how many days you want on one page versus the other page. So once again, this is according to your preference. Now, because I saw that it looked kind of awkward with the January in the middle, and I didn't want to change that centeredness, I decided to put 4 of the days on one side and 3 of the days on the other side. Like I said before, this is all according to your preference, so do it the way that you want to do it. But this is just how I do it. So what I like to also do is use a square for the overall shape of the calendar, and then I add lines. So the first line is going to be pretty small rectangle shape that I'm gonna make, and then I spread them out, copy and paste the lines and spread them out. Copying and pasting the same line really allows for you to have the perfect length of line so that you're not creating a new line and then it's a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. All the lines are the same size. Now what you want to do is add vertical lines to create those boxes, and you space them out to make sure that everything is centered perfectly. What you can do is first put one line in the middle and then you add other lines to the side. That way you know they're perfectly shaped. Now my boxes came out a little bit rectangular, so if you want them to be more square, shape them to the way that you want them to be. Now to make sure that I keep that exact same shape, I'm going to copy and paste it to the next page, and I'm just going to reduce it and make sure that it's only 2 lines to create 3 separate columns for the days. So now I'm just ungrouping what I created and making sure that I'm able to move the line, that square that I made, down. And just eyeballing it because it's a little bit hard now to get the exact shape, being that it was all grouped together. I'm just lazy and I don't want to ungroup everything that I made, so I'm just eyeballing it to make sure that it looks the exact same. And things are looking really good. So I'm really happy. I have the 7 slots for the 7 days, and now I'm ready to move on. Okay, so I'm going to select everything, group it, then I'm going to cut it and paste into, you guessed it, the master slide. So I'm just looking at all my pages now and I realize I spelled February wrong. Yes, I spelled it wrong. And now let's get into the master slide. Now, I also have to make another copy because the index is supposed to be blank. Meanwhile, the monthly pages have to have this grid that we just created for our calendar. So as you can see, I just duplicated it and I'm gonna make sure I name it index. And now everything is looking perfect. And now I'm going to just paste in that grid I just created into this page. Now we see the index is blank. And what we're gonna do now is change the slide. So I'm trying to make it, of course, a shortcut. I'm going to select a lot of them together and go into that paintbrush and make sure that I have the correct slide picked. Now you can see that the grid is on all of the monthly pages. Simple. I didn't have to copy, I didn't have to paste anything. Boom, they're just there. Now, as you can see, all of the months have the grid. Now we're going to be adding the days. So I want to use the same font that we had for the month. So sometimes, which is another quick tip, sometimes I click on the paragraph style, and even though it's supposed to have the same text, it doesn't. As you can see, the size is supposed to be a lot smaller, but it isn't. So now I have to go back to the other font that had the same agenda style and go into it and click on the text, go into the paintbrush, go into agenda and click update, that little update button. Now, when I go back into that Monday, you're gonna see the font has changed down to the size that it should have been. Sometimes that happens, I'm not exactly sure why, but if I had clicked agenda, it should have been right. Hello. Okay, now we're just gonna copy and paste and put all the days in. Once again, we're gonna group all the days together, cut it, and then paste it into the master slide. Now, as you can see, it's so much easier than even copying and pasting. All you gotta do is do it one time and it shows up for all of the pages. Our next step is to add banners. Now, I like to use banners or squares or circles so that I can add the number dates. So when you click that little plus sign at the top, you can actually search for different objects, different figures, images, whatever that you like. Unfortunately for me, the banner that I was looking for is not there. So I'm going to make it. So what I do is add a square and then add a triangle on top of the square. From there, what you want to do is change the color of that triangle so that it's easy for you to see how it's going to look. Once you get the triangle into the perfect position, you're going to select both and you're going to go back to that little paintbrush, click arrange, and at the bottom you see it says combine shapes. So click the button that is 3 images from the left, which is subtract. So what it does is takes the top image and subtract it from the bottom image, and that's what gives us our banner. Now we're going to color our banner. So what I actually like to do is leave it without a fill and just have a border, but it's up to you if you want yellow banners, if you want pink, if you want no banners at all, that is up to you. You can actually do even circles, which is what I like to do as well. So now that I have my banner perfectly situated, I'm going to just copy and paste it for each square. And as you know, I love shortcuts. So once I did the first 4 boxes, I copied them and pasted them. And then I copied those 4 and then I pasted them. This makes things a lot quicker when you're doing a lot of little items, so it's not as tedious. Alright, so now that that's done, we're gonna group everything together, cut, and paste it into the master slide as usual. And this is really awesome because it keeps things simple. Later on, if you make a different kind of a planner, everything is already grouped and ready to go. You don't have to make anything from scratch. Let's move to step 15. We're gonna add more pages. So this step doesn't apply to you if you don't want to add anything other than your monthlies, but if you do, this is the time to add those pages. So what I'm going to do is add an extras page, and usually in my planners I like to add different kinds of paper. I like to create a section where I can have blank paper, lined paper, graph paper, dotted paper, and I sometimes even add a section for stickers. So depending on what you like, you can go ahead and add those different sections. So right here, I'm just testing all my links, making sure everything is correct. And I realized I forgot to add a link to the index. So what I like to do is add an invisible link right in the middle shadow. So if you missed it before, I'm doing it again. What I do is add a square shape, size it to the way that I want it to be. And then I'm gonna go into that little paintbrush and click on style, click no fill, and that way it will not show up in your final product. Now I click on that square, click link, and now I'm gonna link it to slide 2, which is going to be my index page. So no matter where I am in this planner, I'll be able to link it to the index. So now you wanna make sure you copy and paste it to all pages in the master slide so that no matter where you are, it will work correctly. Step 16, we're going to add hyperlinks to the index. So I'm going to, of course, add the extras link. I'm just adding a simple shape, a square, and elongating it into a rectangle. And now I'm just going to copy that index font, make it say extras, and I'm gonna add 2 other links. And just make sure that you're linking them to the correct pages so that they go to that page. But these extras can be a vision board, it can be a journal, a notebook, whatever you want it to be. But I just want to give you an example of how you can add that as well. All right, so let's add some blank pages between those dividers we just created. As you can see, all you gotta do is stay on that divider, click on the little add button at the very bottom, and boom, it creates a blank page. So now I'm just going through the entire thing at the side, making sure everything is looking perfect the way that we want it to be, and look at our divider and look at our blank page. Perfect. Let's hit that play button and test out our hyperlinks. Make sure you always test your hyperlinks. Something always goes wrong, I tell you. And as you can see, I hit extras, and instead of going to the extra section, it went to January. Something is up. What is going on? I don't know. So I had to go back and fix it. So I realized that when I actually clicked the banner or the pink box, it went to extras, but the word extras did not. So I added the link to the text box. I had a feeling there was just an issue with layering, and since the extras does not have a hyperlink, it blocked it from going to the page. I just had to investigate this issue. Now let's see if it works. Yes, it worked. Now let's export our planner. So what you're gonna do at the very top with those little 3 buttons, you're gonna click on it and click export, go to PDF, and then you'll see this page. You're gonna click export again. It's going to load the presentation, and just wait and you'll see it says open in GoodNotes. So you might have to scroll down. Then you're just gonna open it and you're gonna import as a new document into the place that you want it to go. Now for some reason it didn't pop up on my screen, which it usually does, but what I just did is exited GoodNotes and went back in and then searched for the planner in the place that I saved it, and it was there waiting. All our hard work paid off. We created our first planner. Now it's time to sit back and enjoy it. Congratulations, you made it to step 20 and you made your first planner. Wasn't that super easy? Please like this video, comment down below what you thought of this planner, and also subscribe to my channel for so much more. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.